It's been a couple days now since the event that supposedly took place in Washington, D.C. with this nighttime footage, very grainy. Not much good footage of supposedly what went down that night. Again, in D.C. in the Potomac River. And that gets into this individual that I covered back in 2009, Sully Sullenberger, in the so-called Miracle on the Hudson. Let's get right to it, what he has to say.
Just give us your perspective on what you believe happened.
We don't know yet. The investigation may take a year.
So this commercial airline pilot, Sully Sullenberger, who's flown commercial airliners for several decades, has no idea what happened. I'll tell you what happened. For some unknown reason, supposedly a military helicopter flew in the direct path of a commercial airliner supposedly coming in for a landing. That's what happened. It shouldn't take you a year, Sully, for you to figure this out. Give me a break. And before we continue on with this interview, I want to explain, as always, the numbers are always there with these news stories and the signs and symbols. This is not something that's just some amazing coincidence that many over the years, when I mention the number 33 in news stories, they say it doesn't mean anything. It's just a number. Let's get right to it, and I'll break it all down.
Runway and landing there at Reagan, and on this particular runway, can you give us some insight there?
Yeah, it's a legacy airport built, a long time ago to different standards. Of course, it's been upgraded in certain ways, but it's landlocked, with the river on one side and civilization on the other.
And again, with the number 33, with runway 33, and I really have to emphasize, what is a military helicopter doing in this area where commercial airliners are landing? It makes absolutely no sense. In regard to the number 33, just like at Kennedy Space Center in Florida with 33 on the runway, and here's Sully Sullenberger during a presentation. This is from his LinkedIn account. Just take a look. The clear Masonic hand sign and more of the same here. Let's take a look here before showing more signs and symbols when it comes to Sully Sullenberger. Let's take a look here, going back in time with the so-called Miracle on the Hudson and all these individuals on this perfectly level plane on the water. And all the passengers, as you can see, on the wings. And here you see more of the same. And people just hanging out on the wings. And that gets into this movie from 2016 starring Tom Hanks as Sully Sullenberger, as you see here. Pretty much same shot there. Basically, with these news stories, they turn them into movies. As always, just like you see here with Clint Eastwood. Again, Tom Hanks and Sully Sullenberger. They're all actors on the world stage. And for those that are not convinced that Sully Sullenberger is not part of the club, a Mason, just take a look here. Again, they speak through signs and symbols. How clear can it be? Just more of the same. Just telling you, again, through signs and symbols, he's part of the club. Reaching over with his left arm over his bicep. Just like you see here with this Freemason and the doctor for Michael Jackson during that so-called trial back in 2009 as well. And here's just more of the same with Sully Sullenberger doing the Masonic hand pose. And it's just constant. It's a constant theme. I really have to emphasize this. People need to understand the whole aspect of signs and symbols. Every time there's a headline news story on the world stage, you see that number 33 in play, and the individuals involved, at some point you see them doing Masonic hand signs. And people cannot make this simple connection. It's beyond me. And that gets into another individual that I covered years ago, and that's Nancy Kerrigan, who's part of this news story during this press conference. Does a lot of smiling. I don't see any tears. Of course, those that have followed me over the years, many years ago, well over a decade, I covered the whole entire Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding incident in detail. And of course, just like this whole Sully Sullenberger news story from 2009, it was made into a movie, just like you see here with Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan. It was made into several books, of course, TV movies as well on the world stage. Nonetheless, let's get to it with Tanya Harding during this bizarre press conference interview with a lot of dupe and delight taking place. Let's take a look.
I never worked with them. I mean, we were at the Olympics together, but in '94 I was kind of busy myself, and like maybe being a little tough, but with a smile on their face. And like anytime I walked in, oh hi, it's so good to see you. It's like always, what am I doing? I don't come to the skating club all the time, but it was the only place I thought I should be right now. I did not expect this. It's deadly.
Obviously, a very bizarre reaction to the circumstances that have taken place. Doesn't add up, doesn't make sense with all the giggling, all the laughing, with this whole entire situation. People could come to their own conclusions based on the information presented.
John chapter 9, verse 25. Whereas once I was blind, now I can see.